So anyway, let's go through some injuries that will be affecting some of our teams. Teddy B was concussed. He's in the protocol. He may miss week 5. Drew Lock comes in and does Drew Lock things. He likes to throw to the other team. David Montgomery hurts his knee. Looks like he's going to miss about 4 to 5 weeks. Damian Williams has a thigh bruise. Matt Nagy, his first name is Matt. Who cares? Is it Matt? I don't know. He says he's probably going to be okay.
You don't know his name, Mike? The freak?
Everyone just calls him Nagy. I don't know, whatever. The Chicago Bears also acquired wide receiver Jakeem Grant from Miami for a conditional 6th-round
Such a
pick.
random trade.
I know. I saw it today, and I was like, I guess we should talk about that, right?
Just getting a return guy, apparently.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's about it.
Chev, any news on Tariq Cohen? Is he coming back anytime, or is he still on the pup?
Yeah, so this kind of makes me feel like he might be out a little bit longer than what they were expecting as well. I feel like Tariq Cohen was going to come back and play a lot of special teams and take over those punt returning and kick returning roles. So this could be a desperation play just to get a little bit more excitement going through the kick return and punt returns. So, I mean, Grant, he's a good athlete, man. He's slippery, and he's a small guy that can make big things happen at the special teams ends of things. So I think Tariq Cohen might be out a little bit longer, or he just might be – they might cut bait on him too. I'm not sure.
Okay. Maybe he's the new workhorse, and they were like, "Oh, we got to get somebody else to return kicks."
Yeah, it could be. He might play tight end. Who knows? You know,
they need more of it. Nate, I want your thoughts on this one. So Joe Mixon, he hurt his ankle. Might miss. He's week to week. Samaje P. Ryan or Chris Evans, or is there any other options there that we need to look at?
There's another option, Nate.
There's another option there, but I hear he's a slot wide receiver now, so. I don't like Samaje P. Ryan. I don't really like Chris Evans too much. Hey, Puka might get on the active roster. If he gets on the active roster, I'm feeling pretty good about just that milestone. So I'm going to take it step by step. I'm not going to set my expectations too high. But, I mean, if he gets at least – I have a bet somewhere with Bob. And I think I just need Puka to get 5 fantasy points this year. So really hoping for it.
Just 5.
He just needs 3 catches.
Nate, I have a question. You say you don't like Samaje P. Ryan. Samaje P. Ryan's getting run. He's getting points. You like points. You like winning, right? So is there a certain point in the season where you put aside the fact that you don't like a guy and you'll maybe grab him off waivers if you can get him cheaply, have him there if need be? You know what I mean?
Oh, I mean, if I have either one of these guys on the waivers, yeah, I'm going to pick them up. I'm not sure if I'm super excited to start either one, but I would definitely pick up both of them if given the chance, just to see if one of them maybe, shows up a little bit in the couple weeks that Mixon's out. I would say high upside just from an athletic standpoint is Chris Evans, but P. Ryan's the veteran. He's probably going to get the majority of carries. Chris Evans probably gets more receptions out of the backfield. So I say the higher upside guy. I agree with Detroit Bestie here that Chris Evans is probably the guy to get.
Yeah, I agree. And hey, don't forget, if these guys are on your bench, they can't hurt you. I know they can't help you, but they can't be used against you. Unlike Chase Claypool, who I left in a few lineups this week. I'm in too many leagues. I'm 25. I missed some stuff. Speaking of which, Ben Roethlisberger is dealing with a hip injury. Mike Tomlin coming out and saying today that he gives the Pittsburgh Steelers the best chance to win.
Realistically, he does. I mean, you going to put in Haskins, put in Dewey, or what else?
Hey, listen,
Mason
I don't
Rudolph?
care what Pennsylvania's other team does, to be honest with you. I don't really care.
Hey, as long as he keeps targeting Deontay Johnson the way he is, I still want him. If he keeps doing that, he's getting 11 targets a game.
True.
Oh, yeah.
So Jimmy Garoppolo left with a lower leg injury. I don't know if it's calf or ankle. I don't remember. He may miss some time. So then Kyle Shanahan saying he might not miss time. I believe the 49ers bye week is week 6. If it was me, I'd probably just let him sit out, play Trey Lance. And DJ Chark fractured his ankle. He's going to miss the rest of the season. Also, I hate when people on Twitter get mad because a guy gets hurt in a game and gets no points. Trust me, NFL players don't want to get hurt. If he just goes out and sucks and you want to get mad about that, by all means, go ahead. Dude had surgery on a fractured ankle. Chill.
Yeah, he's more worried about getting his money. I mean, isn't he coming up on a contract year too?
He's in a contract year.
He don't care about your little fancy points, kids.
Right.
He wants to get
Crazy
paid.
people.
All right, so let's see. We're going to do a new segment called the Versus segment, and this is crafted by Bob Van Duser's massive cranium. All right, so
What?
we're just gonna pick on Bob today. By the way,
Bob he does have a big head though.
all you IDP guys out there. So Jalen Smith was cut by the Cowboys today, which I didn't see coming, but apparently a lot of people saw it coming. I don't know. He's a good linebacker. Money saving thing. Pork and I are saying the Eagles should grab him because Alex Singleton's impersonating Nate Gary on a weekly basis. Bob said we're better off without him. By the way, John Gannon's defensive scheme has been turned in Philadelphia as the Swiss cheese defensive system because it has so many holes, you don't know which one to exploit first.
See, when your defense starts, like when the nickname starts with Swiss, you're like hoping it's like Swiss Army knife or something like that. It's not Swiss cheese.
It's freaking dairy. It's freaking stinks.
Yeah, it's like that
curdled
Fermunda cheese.
Famunda.
But I think Jalen Smith will be an upgrade over what they have now, which is just a bunch of bums.
Yeah, Jannard Avery, he needs to go. Bye.
If Davion Taylor could get healthy, play him a little bit more because he at least has speed and he can cover guys. But we're not talking about defense because, sorry, Bob, no one cares about defense. But all right, so the Versus segment, Kenneth Gainwell versus Miles Sanders. What's up with this backfield? Pork, I'm going to kick it to you. All I'm going to say is rookie head coach, rookie head play caller has a lot to do with it. They did really clamor to get Gainwell on the team, as per Ruben Frank.
Mm-hmm. It's more. I think it's more of a drafting thing. That's what they want, and I just don't understand it. I mean, Kenneth Gainwell is a good player, but Miles Sanders is a home run hitter, and that's the thing I just don't understand. I mean, he has given us some quality catches and all that, but Miles Sanders should be on the field a little bit more than a lot more than Kenneth Gainwell. I mean, I can understand putting him in on third downs, but other than that, I mean, Miles Sanders should be dominating that first and second down role.
I agree, and I think he's going to come around. I don't know what the hell that was. Sorry.
What happened? It's a ghost.
Sorry about that. I'm hoping the offense turns it around. I mean, I thought that the play calling was much better last week versus Kansas City. I do want to see more usage out of Miles Sanders, though, as both an Eagles fan and that rosters him in a lot of places.
And they ran a ton of tempo, which is good. Would be good for Gainwell because it's just a lot of one read stuff that Jalen was throwing to him because he was obviously the PPR each catch is very meaningful. So it looks like there's a little bit of flex appeal with him, but it's going to be kind of tough to even sit Miles Sanders because we know how good he is. But if you have a better option, you might have to go with someone else at this point.
You know what, Nate? I'm kicking this one to you. With DJ Chark out for the season, Laviska Shenault versus Marvin Jones rest of season.
Out of here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a legitimate question because Marvin Jones, except for this past game, has looked pretty good. He was looking consistent, getting consistent targets. He's always been a red zone threat. I've always been a big fan of Marvin Jones. And I think at this point in this offense, even though it's not necessarily an efficient offense, there's a decent amount of volume there. So I think there's going to be enough to go around for both those guys. There's not really a tight end there that is going to be dominating targets as much as some people may love Dan Arnold. So it's really going to be Laviska Shenault and Marvin Jones. Like, that's it. So, but between the two, I'm going to go with Laviska Shenault. You know that. You knew that before you even asked the question. And it's not just because I'm a huge Shenault fan. Like I said, I do think Jones is going to do pretty well. But what it comes down to is I think Chenault's going to get more receptions. He's going to get more targets because of how he's used. So right now, looking at the stats, he's actually number 4 in the entire NFL for snaps out of the slot. We know that slot snaps usually equate to more targets and receptions than the outside guys, unless they're like a dominant guy like DeAndre Hopkins or Stephon Diggs. Those slot snaps are easy, especially for a rookie quarterback. Get them right out real quick, going across, crossing routes, easy. So Chenault's going to get the receptions. He's going to be good in PPR leagues. The one thing he hasn't done so far this year is score touchdowns. And I think that's something where he can be used more because he's a big guy. He's a big physical receiver. They need to use him in the red zone. Obviously, Marvin Jones is throughout his career been an incredible red zone threat. So he's still going to be the number one guy in the red zone. But I think with DJ Chark out, Chenault's going to see some more looks in the red zone, get some touchdowns, get some rushing attempts near the goal line. They're going to have to use him more in manufactured touches now that Chark's out because they have to use the weapons they have left. They don't have three good wide receivers now. Now they're just down to two. So they're going to have to make some things happen. I like what Chenault can do. I like the dump offs. You know, he's got the yak ability.
They need a thrill. You need a thrill as well. Do
You
you
got a
miss
thrill,
the
all
thrill?
right.
Sorry to cut your face off there, Chef. Do you miss the thrill of drafting before the season started? If you could do it over again, would you draft differently? Well, now's your chance over on Underdog Fantasy. Bob, shouldn't that be over at Underdog Fantasy? Come on, man. Or I guess it's on it. That's fine. The Best Ball Resurrection drafts are live now until October 14th. Scoring will start week 6 and go on through the rest of the season until week 17. Draft again with what you know now. The best part is that new members can draft for free. Use promo code REWIND, all caps, when you make your first deposit, and you will get a bonus $10 to play with. The link is in the description. Support this team by letting them know the Dynasty Rewind sent you, and we will see you there. All right.
Those are my favorite leagues. I'm just going to point that out. You don't have to do nothing with the lineups. You just got to draft. It's great.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
All right, let's talk some buy or sells here, okay? So Kenny Galladay finally shows up, 6 receptions on 7 targets for 116 yards. Does this continue, and can this continue, Chev? What do you think? Kenny Galladay is he the real deal, or was he a victim of Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton being out?
Yeah, that definitely plays a big key into him being successful. But I think if the Giants want to be successful, they're going to have to find him as well throughout the season. I mean, it just really hasn't come to fruition yet with them. I mean, 4 receptions, 64, 3 for 38, 4 for 64. Then he has this big game of 6 for 116. If they want to be successful, they're going to have to get the ball down the field. I know Saquon's been struggling. Saquon's been coming back from injury. He looked pretty good this last week. So hopefully he's getting back to looking like the normal Saquon that we're used to seeing. But they just signed this guy for a whole lot of money. They got to figure out how to use him. And Daniel Jones, such a good deep passing quarterback from what I'm hearing. I mean, let's see it. We got to see him connect with Galladay down the field. Who knows? Maybe Tony unlocked Galladay this last week. Who knows?
Yeah, okay.
Maybe. I don't know. I want to let everyone know that there was a place where I was really banged up. So I went ahead and I started Colin Johnson because I figured all these other guys were out. Did not record a target.
Spoopy season, man.
Yeah, spoopy. I don't know. Bob's saying it's spoopy season. I don't know what that is. It's a combination between poopy and scoopy. Spoopy, I don't know. But also, I did start Alex Collins in the league out of pure necessity.
Wow, Mike.
And
Yo, your team, bro.
Yeah. I want to say congratulations, but also
Right. No, you
I
were
almost won that
guessing.
matchup too. Also, Chris Carson did not practice today, Tuesday. The Seahawks do play Thursday night, so something to definitely keep your eye on. Alex Collins got 10 carries last week. Could be the guy to go. You know, a little bit of a waiver wire fill in there.
DJ Dallas.
I mean, hey, listen, things can travel fast or things change quick. One day you have a federal offense and firearms in your trunk. The next day you could be starting for the Seattle Seahawks like Alex Collins. It's just crazy how the world goes.
Wow.
Man, he'll be good.
Phil,
Okay.
here's one for you. Dawson Knox.
Ooh.
Yes.
We buying or selling this? 4 touchdowns in 2021, 4 games with over 50 yards in 31 career games, none in 2021, 0 games with over 67 receiving yards. Is he just the highly efficient touchdown-dependent tight end of 2021, or is this the start of something bigger?
I think this is just more of a progression thing. I mean, I know it's a joke around with Dawson Knox. He's trash, and then but I can kind of see like how it was going. He was mostly a red zone guy, like the show sheet says. But if I can see just a little bit of progression and Josh Allen starting to trust him in between the numbers, I think maybe not this year, but next year you'll see that type of chemistry just keep pushing forward. But I think for now, seeing that I think he's the most targeted tight end in the NFL in the red zone, I definitely love it. So I think right now, when you usually have a player that's touchdown dependent, you usually try to sell him for something better. But for me, my love for Dawson Knox goes way deeper than that. So me personally, I'm just going to keep him for right now, and keep starting him. I started him in a lot of places last week because I'm just starting to see Josh Allen is trusting him in the red zone. But fantasy advice: try to sell him and try to get somebody, package him with somebody else and try to get a better tight end if possible. If
I
not,
think
you can probably still play him and you'll be good.
Yeah, I think sometimes he just gets lost in between everybody else. Stephon Diggs, Emmanuel
Yeah,
Sanders. I mean, I think he just gets lost in between those guys, and nobody remembers he's there. Like
yeah,
this
and
last
he
week,
like
that's what happened.
yeah, and that's all I was gonna say. Diggs and Sanders are the in between the 20s guys, and then when it gets down low, you look for the big guy up top, and he's been very very efficient with that. So, hey, if he's giving you one touchdown, it might get you 2 touchdowns one week. It could win you a week, and he's cheap. I think he's a tight end 5 right now,
Yeah.
which
I
is
just
kind
I
of
just want a
nuts.
touchdown with my tight ends. If I can get them to score a touchdown, I
Yeah,
mean, that's all you're asking for.
because we all know that position is very very bleak. So if you can find a wild card like a Dawson Knox, put him in your starting lineup, and you got a chance to win. Especially like I said, these tight ends are butt because Mike Gesicki is top 5. So we'll see how that
Top
goes.
4.
Hey, he's
So-
coming up. He's coming up. I'm just
He's
saying.
coming up. No,
He's coming.
he doing a little something. I see him.
Brissett's the
Mhm.
best thing that happened to him so far this season.
So is Dawson Knox basically this year's Robert Tanyan?
Yes, he is at this point, which is fine. But like I said, if you can sell him, you see what Robert Tynes doing now. He's not doing anything.
Thanks,
So
Bob.
if you sold them
Thanks for
last
telling me
year,
to draft Robert Tunyon everywhere.
if
Thanks,
you sold
buddy.
them last year, or if you could sell them during the draft next year, you might be able to get something good because you'll see that high tight end number that you have, and then you can get maybe a top tight end in this draft that you like, or not like a Waller or Hawkinson, but if you can get a Waller and Hawkinson or somebody like that, you'll be good.
That'd be pretty good.
I still Gerald Everett would have a good season.
Yeah, he hasn't played.
Didn't get COVID.
So yeah,
Not having a good
he got
season. then, is
COVID.
he?
Mike, thanks. He got COVID. He can't get against my bet. The guy's sick. You're such a sick son of a gun. Stop making me say a bad word, Mike. Bad word.
Phil, be nice.
Michael, you be nice.
All right.
Jalen
Are there
Hurts.
any players that you guys are looking to acquire or target in trades right now?
Yes. So this morning, I was looking through my teams. It's like, wow, Michael Pittman is very quietly the wide receiver 32. So he's a very solid wide receiver 3 right now, and he's working with a very injured Carson Wentz and a not so great Colts team at the moment. And he's out here putting up some pretty decent numbers. And he doesn't have any touchdowns, no receiving touchdowns. We know that can really hurt wide receivers. So far through 4 games, he's got 36 targets, 23 receptions for 279 yards. So it's only a 12.1 yards per reception. So he's not really that deep threat that we kind of were hoping he was going to stretch the field. But he's getting a pretty good amount of volume. And that Colts team isn't even throwing a lot right now. They're kind of struggling. So I'm looking at him as right now a solid wide receiver 3, and I don't see how he does any worse than that for the rest of the season. I mean, I don't think T.Y. Hilton's going to come back in anytime soon and dominate. Paris Campbell hasn't stood out, and Zach Pascal. I mean, same kind of thing. Like he's has some good weeks, but he's an average wide receiver overall. So I'm looking at Pittman. No one's talking about him right now. No one's talking about him. No one's talking bad about him. No one's talking good about him. But he's playing pretty well considering the situation around him. And diving into the stats, he's participated in 99.3% of every single pass play, which is number 3 in the league. So he's out there every single time they pass the ball, basically. And he's also got 6 red zone targets so far. So the fact he has 0 touchdowns is kind of weird. And he's just out there. He's got 204 completed air yards, which is 20th in the league. He's a guy that, looking at his metrics, and I always go on Player Profile because they're a pretty incredible website. But looking at the metrics, he's actually kind of underperforming. And it comes down to the fact that he hasn't caught any touchdowns yet, and the fact that Carson Wentz and that offense hasn't really been efficient yet. But I think as the season progresses, if Carson Wentz can get healthy, we're going to see Pittman have some big weeks. And I'm not going to say he's going to be the wide receiver one rest of the season or anything like that. I think he probably sticks around where he is at right now, but he's going to have some big weeks. And I think he's a guy I want to go ahead and acquire.
What about you guys? Got anyone?
Dude, I want to go get Allen Robinson everywhere. I feel like he's going to be so undervalued right now, even lower than he was before, which is not too high. So I would want to go get Allen Robinson everywhere. He might not be with the Bears next season, so he'll go get a contract somewhere else. And if I'm Allen Robinson, I'm going to somewhere that has an established quarterback that is going for a ring next season. And there's a lot of good quarterbacks that are out there that I would be super excited for Allen Robinson to go to. So, I mean, he's a guy that I just feel hasn't played to his potential. Nobody on the Bears really has this season. I mean, it's been a real big struggle for offensive stats for the Chicago Bears. Other than Mooney last week, and Montgomery's probably the only consistent one that I can probably throw out there. But Allen Robinson is definitely somebody I would go grab. I mean, the rest of the season, he should be way better than he is. And next season, could he be even better as well for him too?
Yeah, I like that.
Which sucks because I love Allen Robinson. I have him in a lot of places because he's just a dude that gets targets, but this season has not been that way for him. So,
Phil, how about yourself? You got any trade targets you're looking at right now?
I mean, not to play fanboy or anything, but if I can't go cheap, I'm getting Van Jefferson. I've been trying to. If I don't have any shares that I don't have, I'm still going to try to get him if I can. He's kind of making Robert Woods a little bit of an issue to start. He hasn't been looking good at all. He's been throwing a lot of deep balls, and he's been catching a lot of deep balls. And I think he has 2 touchdowns this year, which is good. So with Matthew Stafford actually being able to push the ball down the field and make that offense look legit and make Jared Goff looks freaking terrible, that's a fact, Mike. But making Jared Goff look terrible, and once Matthew Stafford came in, it seems like it's night and day. And seeing that he's targeting Van Jefferson, and we all know Deshaun Jackson's probably going to get hurt, it's just like a foregone conclusion. Van is definitely going to be one of the guys that I'm going to try to target wherever I can in all of my leagues, and actually might start him. So my dream is coming true. I'm actually being able to start Justin Jefferson and Van Jefferson in the same lineup. So it just makes my heart.
It's beautiful.
My heart beat.
it's all about the Jeffersons.
Oh, about the Jefferson shit.
So
oh boy.
For me, I'm scrolling through league chats right now, looking at people being mad. Didn't say I'm participating in the league chats. Just looking through people being mad about these rookies that aren't popping off like they expect. Send out some trade offers. Like, people are still really down on guys like Elijah Moore. He's talent that I believe in. Even like some second-year guys like Quintez Cephas might try to grab him. It looks like he's carving out a nice role there. I think you can still get him cheap because people just hate the Lions for whatever reason. Amon-Ra St. Brown had a good week last week. Still pretty high on him. Just guys like that. Let people get angry at these rookies because not everyone's coming out and playing like Justin Jefferson. So anytime I can get a guy
Mike, one more person.
What?
Sorry, one more person. Khalif Raymond for the Lions. He looked really good this week. It seems like it's Jared Goff's favorite target on that offense. He had 2 touchdowns. He was a really good DFS play last week, and maybe next week if he continues to play, it'd be a nice cheap option.
Yep.
There you go.
What do you guys think about Kyle Pitts?
Not
How is everybody feeling about him so far?
Still like him.
We should all overreact, right?
No, yeah. I mean, I like what he's doing, man. I think a lot of people are going to be ready to get rid of him pretty soon. So that'd be somebody might be targeting as well to go get cheaper than what you definitely had to pay for the beginning of the season.
Pennies on the dollar, for real.
And to keep the tight end flow going real quick, Shev, I just wanted to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Should I go out and acquire Cole Kmet?
I hate Cole Kmet, to be honest. When they drafted him, I was not happy. So I don't want anybody on that offense right now, really. I mean, if I'm going to be honest, other than Mooney and the top guys. Like I don't feel confident saying go get Cole Kmet. I just don't feel good about that. I mean, we all hoped that Matt Nagy would get a Travis Kelce role to one of these tight ends at some point, but it is not the case. Matt Nagy doesn't even want to give a quarterback the starting gig other than freaking Andy Dalton, who hasn't played since like week 2. So I don't even know what to do with that offense. I have not been the biggest Cole Kmet guy, so it would be hard for me to want to buy him, to be honest.
All right.
What about you?
I don't know. That's what I was asking.
He's tied to that offense a little bit longer than some of these other guys. I think it'll be better if we get a new coach and we do some different things. But I mean, who knows? Laser could be the guy that leads us to some big moves. But we got to see who's going to be our quarterback, I guess, first. So I don't feel too confident in our decision making there at the moment.
Yeah, I think Cole Kmet is just on a low volume, not efficient offense. I think I don't think he's gonna be like a top tight end, but I think he's better than he's performing at the moment. And I don't think it's just necessarily him. I think it's the offense and the fact that it's not very good.
I mean, if Allen Robinson isn't going to get targets, I'm not going to bet on Cole Kmet to get targets. So that'll be tough to do for me.
Yeah. Any guys that you're looking to trade away right now? Get off your roster?
For me, it's Cordero Patterson. I don't see him being able to sustain any of this for a long period of time. He's an older guy. We all know. We all seen this happen. He runs the ball. He looks.
I could say all the same stuff about Van Jefferson.
What are you talking about?
Older guy, not going to sustain.
Yeah, Van's going to sustain because he is younger than Cordero Patterson. Patterson's old,
Slightly.
30.
Not slightly. But Cordero is not going to, keep with this production. Obviously, we all know Michael Davis. He's not going to be. I'm calling him Michael Davis because he's not playing well. Mike Davis is not good. He hasn't been playing well. He has been giving you some receptions for PPR, but I'm going to try to sell Cordero Patterson as soon as you can. I just don't see it sustaining throughout the year. There's other teams. The Bears tried him at running back. It really didn't work out too well. The Vikings, he tried a running back. Didn't work out there. So I don't see how it's going to work out here throughout the season and keep it going.
Can you imagine if Kyle Pitts was doing what Patterson's doing right now?
Oh, my God.
Everybody would be losing their load.
Nuts.
On Twitter. Oh, my God.
And you know what's crazy? He probably couldn't do it. If they put him in that, not the running back role, but when they were throwing him the ball out on the when he was a wide receiver out wide, they threw out the Pitts, they would have went wild because he could make the same type of plays. But I'm happy for Cordero Patterson at this point in his career to be able to produce this way, but we've seen this story time and time again, and it's just not gonna. I don't think it's gonna sustain. Now, if it does, I'm happy for the guy, but I just don't see it myself.
Wait till he returns a touchdown as well. Then everybody's gonna go crazy.
Oh my God.
It's gonna amazing stat line, just 4 catches, 3 touchdowns, and a return touchdown. I can see it coming soon. Be ready, Twitter.
Yeah, get ready for the receiving touchdown, the rushing touchdown, and the return touchdown all in one game.
He might throw one. Who knows?
Yeah, right. Who knows? Real quick, you guys got Nate, Jeff, anybody you want to try to move away from at this point?
Not one off the top of my head.
I think it's still a little early. Now, like if you're going to rebuild, then obviously I'd probably start looking to trade right about now. But I mean, I feel confident in my teams. They're just underperforming at the moment. I don't want to trade them too early because there's a lot of guys on my team that are just underperforming or they're not putting it all together at the same time. So I don't really have a guy yet. Cordell Patterson's a really good one, but that I really just want to get rid of at the moment.
We got 2 questions here. One is from Facebook user. Seems that sophomore receivers usually peak. Is this the time to buy low on rookie receivers? I think absolutely. Yeah, I mean, obviously, not Jamar Chase. He's out there killing it. But guys like I mentioned before, like Elijah Moore, some other guys like that.
Terrace Marshall.
That's a great one right now. He hasn't hit off, but he's not a guy I thought was going to in the first couple games anyway. So
yeah, once they get rid of Robbie Anderson,
Well, they just signed him to a long contract, so
Well, they signed Jalen Smith to a big contract a few years ago too, and that didn't seem to matter. Yeah, but absolutely. If you listen, anytime you could buy low on a player, that's the time to do it. If you believe in that talent and you want the guy on your roster, you're going to go to Nate's Devy Player of the Week. Nate, I know you got someone good for us. Chev, I've been playing around with some sound drops since you've
That's
been
beautiful.
away.
I love that.
So,
I love that.
Nate, what do you have for us this week on your Devy Player of the Week?
So I'm actually really scared to do my Devy Player of the Week. 2 weeks ago, I said Quentin Johnston. He ended up having 0 points in a game that had he had 0 catches in a game that had 80-something total points. So that was a curse. And then I said Dante Demas last week, and he ended up destroying his knee 2 or 3 days later. So I'm kind of scared to give you a Devy Player of the Week because it might be a death sentence for their career, or something
Sean
like
Clifford.
And don't say Kenneth Walker. So Matty.
Yeah, that's what I said. No, this week I'm going to go with a guy that you probably have already heard of, and for good reason. We've all been talking about Bijan Robinson as the running back 1 in Devy. But what if I told you he's not the running back 1 in Devy anymore? I am drinking the Kool-Aid that Kevin is throwing out there. I think Travion Henderson from Ohio State is the RB1 in Devy. And wow, he's just been so impressive. We've seen some impressive running backs their freshman year. Like we saw Tank, we saw Bijan, we saw some of these guys from last year's freshman class look really good in their freshman season. But this year, Travion Henderson is just showing everybody up. True freshman, came into the Ohio State program as the number 1 running back in the high school recruiting class, the 23 prospect overall in the nation, and all-time 488 best prospect. So that's just a number on there on 24/7 as well. But literally one of the best running back prospects to come out in the past couple of years out of high school. Didn't play his senior season because of COVID. The high school season got switched to the spring, and he had already enrolled into Ohio State. He was an early enroll, so he got to play in the spring practices last year. Looked great. People didn't expect him to make a big impact this year. He's a true freshman. Meion Williams is in front of him, who's a redshirt freshman. And they got Master Teague, who's maybe not the best prospect, but was a decent college running back for Ohio State. Well, Travion Henderson didn't care about any of that. His first game that he got touches, he had a big touchdown run, and since then he's been nothing but explosive. This is a guy that on the 24/7 evaluation report, so all they had seen of him was a junior year where he was a full-time running back for the first time, because freshman, sophomore year, he was a wide receiver at a cornerback, okay? So his junior year is the only time he had played running back full-time. And he had 2,424 yards and 45 touchdowns that year. Was the Virginia Player of the Year and was named to All-USA second-team offense. So coming out of high school, just off of that season, he was being scouted and compared to Christian McCaffrey. Insane speed, ability to change direction, incredible vision. They were already pegging him as a first-round draft pick, and he's been even better than that since he's been at campus. Through 5 games so far, he has 54 attempts for 510 yards. That's a 9.4 yard average. That is insane for a running back. He's got 7 touchdowns. And he's got 3 receptions for 87 yards as well. This guy, you heard me, he played wide receiver his freshman and sophomore year. He played running back his junior year. He's been compared to Christian McCaffrey because he's got that ability to break off the big plays, run the ball through the middle of the field, but also to take that receiving role for a team as well. He's a true workhorse. And he was a little injured coming into the Rutgers game this week, but, who cares? They gave him 8 attempts. He had 71 yards and a touchdown. Game before that, 8 attempts, 93 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then, of course, we saw his game against Tulsa, 24 attempts, 277 yards and 3 touchdowns. 3rd game of his college career. Playing for Ohio State. This guy is only going to go up. They're getting ready to go into conference play. Well, I guess Rutgers is technically conference play, but we don't really consider them part of the Big Ten. So I'm excited to see what he can do against the Big Ten.
Nebraska. Get rid of him.
Yeah, exactly. They don't belong in there. I love Bijan Robinson. I really do. But if Travion Henderson can keep this up, it's more impressive to do it in the Big Ten than the Big 12, and with Ohio State's pedigree, I mean, if he keeps this up, he's definitely going to be a first round pick. He might even be like a top 15 pick. He might be one of those generational prospects we see come out of college. Obviously, it's a little high expectations we're setting after just 5 games of his college career, but he looks the part. And I definitely want to talk about him now because we're going to be talking about him a lot for the next 2.5 years as he gets ready to, continue his college career and go into the play on Sundays. So, Trevion Henderson, you probably already heard his name. You're going to keep hearing it.
Nate, if he gets hurt, I'm going to beat you in the wire.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, Pork's about to be so mad.
No,
if he gets hurt,
really
if he gets hurt,
For
we're
the
cutting the
little bit-
segment.
We're getting rid of it. Sorry, Bob. But there is some. Obviously, I'm an Ohio State fan, and some of his runs are just disrespectful. Like once he gets into the open field, he puts one move on a guy, and then he's just going. Like, and it's crazy because he doesn't look like that fast of a guy because he's a stocky running back too. So I want to see him run with power as well. So I'm curious to see how rest of this year go, and the next 2 years go. But he looks very, very promising. I'm very excited.
He really
We'll
does.
say you've heard of him. Bob probably already hates him. You know how that goes.
Yeah, he does.
So that was
He stinks.
the Devy Player of the Week, courtesy of Nate Christian. And speaking of Devy, Kevin and I, who Nate mentioned in his Devy segment, we recorded an episode last night for the Patreon that's going to come out tomorrow. The audio and the video will be out tomorrow. So if you are a Patreon member, you are a rewinder, make sure that you check that out. And if you're not, join up $5 a month, and then you get the weekly Devy content. Well, you get that on YouTube regardless, but you get extra Devy content through the Patreon. Jaywick does. So for Chevin Nooney, Nate Christian, and Phil Pork Rind Simmons, I'm your host, Michael Bauer. Until next week, everyone,
Thing, bro.
be kind, please rewind.
Yo,
Thank you
I
for
gotta fight.
watching.
We're fighting, Mike.
Thank you for listening.